Thanks for being here on this Sunday. U.S. President Joe Biden used his first official visit as president to Canada to call for even closer ties between the two countries. It's a visit that also saw several new promises on the border, on Haiti, and clean energy. John Kirby is the White House's National Security Counselor Coordinator spokesman, and he was in Ottawa with the president. I spoke to him earlier today, though, in a Canadian exclusive just outside the White House about that visit, Ukraine, and China. John Kirby, thank you for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.
Glad to be with you. Thank you.
I want to start on the new border agreement that was hashed out between the two countries in terms of how this deal was finally able to come together, whether some of the pressure was domestic pressure from Republicans there in the United States that got this to the finish line.
I wouldn't describe it as domestic pressure from Republicans here in the United States. The president has maintained a very strong policy about border security here in the United States. That's south and north. And it's also a function, I think, of the terrific relationship we have with the Canadians, and particularly the one that President Biden has with Prime Minister Trudeau. We know that there are more people on the move in this hemisphere since World War II. It's just a fact. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One of the things that Prime Minister Trudeau, President Biden, and President López Obrador in Mexico City discussed at the recent North American Leaders Summit was trying to get at those root causes and taking a holistic regional approach. So clearly it's affecting Canada too. And I think what you saw as the culmination of this agreement that both leaders reached in Ottawa was really the result of a lot of work by our diplomats and our border officials over many, many weeks.
Okay, I want to move on to Haiti if I can. As you know, Canada committed $100 million to the Haitian police force to try and help restore law and order. There had been, though, hopes that Canada could lead a security force in Haiti. That did not happen. Does that mean it is off the table for this country, and you and the UN will have to look to another country to take that on?
As President Biden said when we were in Ottawa, we still find value in the potential use of some sort of security force in Haiti, but whatever comes out of that is going to have to be done in full consultation with the Haitian government as well as the UN, and we just aren't at that point right now. We do share Prime Minister Trudeau's concerns over the capabilities of the Haitian National Police, and we'll certainly look to work with Canada and others to see what can be done to bolster their capabilities, to provide a little bit more security on the ground using organic police forces. We're also going to continue to provide humanitarian and economic assistance and hold those accountable who are causing all this violence and insecurity.
The president made the point while he was here that NORAD, of course, is the only binational command in the world. Canada plans to invest billions to update fighter jet bases, northern landing strips, that kind of thing. But given the geopolitics of the Arctic, the pressures from Russia and China, is the United States, is the White House concerned these investments are still not happening quickly enough?
We are an Arctic nation. Canada is an Arctic nation. We take our responsibilities in that part of the world seriously. It is a part of the world that, as you well know, is going to come under increasing pressure for competition, for resources particularly, and could become a place where security requirements become more animated, more urgent. And so we're going to work with Canada, of course, to see what we can do to bolster our presence in the Arctic, to bolster our ability to defend our mutual national security interests as well as our economic interests.
But is the timeline moving as quickly as you would like?
I think we all both of us share a sense of urgency here in terms of what needs to be done in the Arctic, and we're working very, very hard at that.
I want to ask you about some comments by President Putin over the past 12 hours or so. He said that Russia will station tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus. He said that doesn't violate any non-proliferation agreements. How concerned is the U.S. about that latest move, John Kirby?
We're watching this closely. We've seen those reports. I can tell you that we've seen nothing that would indicate Mr. Putin is preparing to use tactical nuclear weapons in any way whatsoever in Ukraine. And I can also tell you that we haven't seen anything that would cause us to change our own strategic nuclear deterrent posture.
He also suggested Russia and China don't have a military alliance. What would you respond to that? How would you characterize their relationship right now?
We don't characterize it as an alliance either. I think, for all the bluster about a no-limits relationship, I mean, there clearly are limits to what President Xi has proven he's willing to do in terms of bolstering up Mr. Putin. Now, look, these are two nations that see common cause in pushing back on American leadership around the world and leadership of the West, leadership of NATO. And so they are sort of using one another to chafe and to bristle at American leadership around the world. But it remains to be seen, how much of a true alliance we have here. These are two nations that want to challenge the international rules-based order. In one case, China, they actually have the resources and capabilities to mount an effective challenge. President Putin sees that, he knows that, and that's, we believe, why he's cozying up a little bit more to President Xi.
Just to go back to the war in Ukraine and sort of the speed at which things are happening, I talked to the former head of NATO, Anders Fogh Rasmussen, who says that weapons need to be delivered sooner than they are, that Ukraine is sort of asking and asking and asking, and then they finally get them, and it's almost too late by the time they get them. And I wonder whether you would like to see NATO allies moving faster on delivery for this counteroffensive.
We all share a sense of urgency here. We know that that time is on no one's side when it comes to helping Ukraine better defend itself. We expect that in the weeks and months ahead that the Russians are going to want to mount some new offensive operations. We want to make sure that Ukraine is ready to not only defend themselves against those operations, but conduct offensive operations of their own. Now, I will tell you that the United States has been moving with unprecedented speed to provide support to Ukraine. Sometimes in as little as days, an item that gets approved by President Biden can get into the hands of Ukrainian soldiers. Now, other systems take a little bit longer, and every nation has to make these decisions for themselves. But the United States is leading a distribution effort outside of Ukraine to coordinate the contributions of nations all over the world to get them into Ukraine as fast as possible. We're grateful for the support that our NATO allies, in fact, and our friends around the world are providing to Ukraine. Some of that is in weapons and capabilities, and we're committed to helping move that into Ukraine as fast as possible.
The president heard during his trip that, and I'm sure he's been following, that Canada is dealing with these various allegations of election interference by China.
Yeah.
Those allegations are coming from information that was apparently leaked from intelligence sources. And I wonder, given those leaks, Mr. Kirby, whether the U.S. still trusts Canada as a Five Eyes partner, or whether you have real concerns about those kinds of intelligence breaches.
There's no breach of trust with Canada or the Five Eyes relationship whatsoever. We know, and we've seen it here in the United States, that foreign actors will attempt to try to interfere with democratic institutions, with democratic elections. We're not immune to that either. And we share Prime Minister Trudeau's deep concerns over this. He has launched an investigation. We understand the Parliament is also looking into this. We think that's the right thing to do. In the United States, he'll have a friend and a partner should he need any in that work. But it's important. It's a reminder. I mean, this whole issue is a reminder of how precious democratic institutions are and free and fair elections are, and how strong we all have to work together, and we will work together with Canada to preserve the dignity of those institutions.
Has the U.S. provided any intelligence to Canada in relation to these kinds of allegations? Do you know?
I wouldn't speak to intelligence matters here on national television. I think you can understand that.
Okay, one last question about, there are some reports that Canada, the U.S., Japan and South Korea are looking at forming a new Quad alliance to cooperate in the Indo-Pacific. Can you tell me what plans are underway and I guess whether Canada could join the existing Quad too?
I can't speak to the specific press reporting. We're not trying to stand up a new NATO in the Indo-Pacific if that's what people are beginning to think. There are already a vast network of alliances and partnerships that the United States shares in the Indo-Pacific. In fact, 5 of our 7 treaty alliances are actually in that part of the world, and we value each and every one of them very, very greatly. President Biden, you heard him say this in Ottawa, has really prioritized revitalizing that. Now, Canada has just put out a new Indo-Pacific strategy, which nests very, very nicely with our own national strategy for the Indo-Pacific, and we look forward to working with Canada in a variety of fora to advance our shared security interest in that part of the world.
John Kirby, thank you so much for making the time. Hope you come back, sir. Thank you.
You bet. My pleasure.